Welcome to Lesson 4.7, the Scientific Method and Reasoning. This final topic in the TEAS Science section is all about how science works, how questions are asked, tested, and answered. You don't need to memorize complex experiments. Instead, you need to understand how scientific thinking is structured, how to read basic data, and how to make logical conclusions. Let's begin with the scientific method, the foundation of scientific investigation. It's a step-by-step process used to explore questions and solve problems. First, you start by asking a question, something you want to understand or figure out. Next, you do background research to see what's already known about the topic. Then, you form a hypothesis. This is your educated guess or prediction that you can test. After that, you test the hypothesis by running an experiment or collecting data. Once you have results, you analyze the data to look for patterns or changes. From there, you draw a conclusion. Was your hypothesis correct or not? And finally, you share your results, whether that's through a report, presentation, or publication. Here's your TEAS tip. You might see questions asking what step comes next in an experiment or which step is missing, so make sure you know the full order. Now let's clear up three science terms that often get mixed up: hypothesis, theory, and law. They're not interchangeable. They each play a different role in science. First, a hypothesis is an educated guess. It's your starting point, a specific, testable prediction. For example, if plants get more sunlight, then they'll grow taller. Next, a theory is much broader. It's an explanation that's been tested many times and supported by lots of evidence. Think of the theory of evolution. It explains how species change over time based on years of scientific data. Finally, a law is a statement about something that always happens under certain conditions. For example, Newton's law of gravity. It describes what happens but doesn't explain why. Here's a TEAS tip. A hypothesis can lead to a theory if it's supported repeatedly. And remember, a theory explains, while a law describes. When you're doing an experiment, it's important to know the different types of variables. These are the things that can change or stay the same in your test. First, the independent variable is what you change. Example, how much sunlight a plant receives. Next, the dependent variable is what you measure. In this case, how tall the plant grows. And finally, controlled variables, also called constants, are what you keep the same to make the test fair, like using the same type of plant, the same soil, and the same amount of water. Here's your TEAS tip. If a question asks what the experiment is testing, it usually means the independent variable. On the TEAS, you'll often see a chart, graph, or data table, and you'll need to draw conclusions based on what you see. Start by reading the x-axis and y-axis labels. What's being measured and in what units? Then, check for patterns or trends. Is the data going up, down, staying the same? Watch out for scale. Some graphs may exaggerate changes or skip intervals. You might be asked, what trend is shown? What is the dependent variable? Or what conclusion can you draw from this data? Here's your TEAS tip. Always read the chart carefully. Don't just guess based on how it looks. Wrong answers often seem right until you check the details. When two things happen together, it doesn't always mean one caused the other. Causation means one event directly makes another happen. For example, watering a plant causes it to grow. But correlation just means two things occur at the same time. Like ice cream sales and sunburns both rise in summer, but ice cream doesn't cause sunburns. Here's your TEAS tip. Unless an experiment controls all variables, it can't prove causation, only correlation. That's a key distinction to watch for in answer choices. Some TEAS questions ask you to make a prediction or inference, basically, an educated guess based on what's already known. To answer these, look for patterns or trends in the data. Use logic from the experiment or passage. Don't overthink it. For example, if plants watered twice a day grew taller than those watered once, it's reasonable to predict that watering 3 times might help them grow more, as long as nothing else changes. Here's your TEAS tip. Stick to what the evidence supports. Don't choose answers that go way beyond the data. Let's quickly review what matters most for the test. The scientific method is a process. Start with a question, form a hypothesis, test it, then analyze results. Remember, a hypothesis is a testable guess, a theory explains a broad idea, and a law describes a pattern that always holds true. Know your variables. Independent is what you change. Dependent is what you measure. Controls are what you keep the same. When looking at graphs or tables, check the labels, units, and trends. Don't just guess based on appearance. Finally, don't mix up correlation and causation. Use trends to make logical predictions, and always back your answers with the data given.